So I'm from the Welcome Dinner Project, which is an initiative of Joining the Dots. So what we do is connect newly arrived people in Australia with established Australians. And how we do that is through the language of food.
So Surf Together idea, it's basically taking refugees surfing. We have a beautiful beach and we just wanted to share it with them. The ocean is a really welcoming place. Nobody kind of gets judged by the waves, and lots of surfers wanted to get involved and they said, we love surfing, can we take some people surfing? And we said, yeah, sure, no worries.
Enough Room is a tiny project we've just launched. It's kind of like the Airbnb but for asylum seekers. So it's an online tool for agencies to use to source accommodation for asylum seekers. So anybody can sign up, offer their house, offer a granny flat, spare bedroom, whatever. The agencies can search for it and match asylum seekers to people and their bedrooms.
Great to have your company. You're listening to Life and Faith from the Centre for Public Christianity. My name's Simon Smart.
And I'm Natasha Moore.
Well, controversy over asylum seeker policy is a perpetual feature of federal politics in Australia at the moment and around the world. But beyond the politics, there are all kinds of volunteers on the ground who are working to make sure that asylum seekers in Australia are welcomed and looked after when they do arrive.
I'm speaking with Yamama Aga from Settlement Services International. Yamama, can you tell me what Settlement Services International does?
Day to day, we assist refugees who come to Australia on permanent visa to settle. So we work with them on initial settlement between 6 to 12 months. And this includes pick-up from the airport, accommodation, registration with essential services, including bank, Centrelink, Medicare, schooling, local area orientation, case management, and of course accommodation as well.
I'm speaking with Katie McDonald from the Anglicare ESL Advisory Service. Katie, tell me, what do you guys do?
We seek to help people who are new to our country with very little English or wanting to improve their English to improve their skills through classes which are run through churches.
What's the best thing that you've seen happen?
People come who have moved from not really having much confidence to step outside of their house to now being able to talk to their neighbours, telling me how they've been able to go to the local shops. They seem to be happier, they're able to contribute and engage in society, and that's a real thrill.
These are some of those volunteers who were gathered together at a recent conference, and we'll hear a bit more about some of the initiatives that they're involved with a bit later on in the program. One of the people who was at this conference is Brad Chilcott. He's the founder and director of Welcome to Australia, and he's here in the studio with us. Welcome to the program, Brad.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Welcome to Australia has been around for 4 years now, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We started 4 years ago, and the hope of cultivating a culture of welcome in our nation.
So for those who aren't really familiar with the work that you guys do, how has that gone? What is Welcome to Australia?
Well, it's a movement of people from all over Australia, from every walk of life, who want to call out the best in Australians, who want to live as a tangible expression of the kind of nation we hope to see. Welcoming, compassionate, inclusive, creating communities where all people can belong and contribute.
Now, Brad, you've included in this or brought together huge ranges of different people, but what's your personal motivation for this work? Where does that, what gets you into it?
Well, first of all, it was seeing some protests against a detention centre opening outside of Adelaide where locals held up a sign, a young 10-year-old Australian kid holding a sign that said, "Sink the boats." And when I saw that, I said to myself, this isn't the kind of Australia I want my kids to grow up in, where it's socially acceptable to wish death upon families and individuals. So that was the initial motivation to get this thing started.
And what sort of impacts have you seen the work have? I mean, there must be lots of good stories that you've got after 4 years of this.
Yeah, I mean, we really intentionally target middle Australia, people that are not sold out on either end of this political argument, all for asylum seekers or wanting them all to die at sea. And so what's been amazing for me to see is people who've been either apathetic or just wished the whole conversation would go away, or even harbouring some subconscious racism and prejudice, seeing them come alive to compassion and to seeing asylum seekers as human beings just like us with the same hopes and dreams, and giving up their time and energy to show them welcome.
What is the thing that changes that for someone? Is it the interaction with a real person? Often you hear that sort of story.
I definitely think that it's relationship. Even for me, a group of Congolese refugees joined my church, and before that it was a social justice cause I was interested in. But then sitting across the table and hearing someone tell you their story of their parents being murdered in front of them in Congo, and the hardship of the refugee camp and the excitement of being here and being welcomed into this community, it's that really changed my heart and ignited my passion in a different way. And relationship changes people's hearts better than a policy argument ever can.
You've been on Life and Faith before, about 18 months ago. Are there particular activities you can tell us about that have started up since that time?
Yeah, we have a great program called Asylum Sneakers that we launched during the World Cup, the Soccer World Cup. Les Murray, Mr. Football in Australia, was our key ambassador. And it was basically Australians donating money to buy asylum seeker kids soccer boots. And some of that experience there was incredible, seeing kids not only get soccer boots for the first time, but actually get their first new pair of shoes ever in their lives. And being able to be a part of that was really incredible.
Pity to have to walk around with sprigs the whole time if you're wearing soccer boots, but that must have been really great. Any others that come to mind?
Oh, we now have 2 fully functioning welcome centres, one in Adelaide and one in Newcastle. Previously, a lot of our work has been volunteer groups or volunteers in different cities, doing small projects or small campaigns. But now having these 2 centres set up, delivering English programs and community dinners, social support, material aid where we deliver, fridges and furniture and the needs of asylum seekers that are moving into empty homes with no money to furnish them. It's incredible to see all of these programs continuing to grow and bless people.
To tell us a bit more about some other creative initiatives engaging with asylum seekers around the country, here's Isabel Dwyer from the Welcome Dinner Project and Clara Sadi from Surf Together. Why do you think it is that sharing a meal together does that for people, helps them to feel welcome and connected?
So it can be hard if you arrive in someone's home and everybody is a stranger to each other. But if you use food, it's a really good way of getting people to start talking, and it starts everyone off on an even playing field. So it doesn't matter if you're a doctor from Vaucluse or you're a cleaner in Mount Druitt, when you bring your food, everyone's equal.
We took the Muslim Women's Association to the beach, and a lot of them have come from broken backgrounds, fleeing from war and abuse, and they're very vilified in the society only because of the way they dress, with the hijab, and they never really actually leave the house very much. So we took them to the water, and these women were very reserved and very afraid at first, and they had never set foot in an ocean. So we took them there. We gave them a big education session on rips and water safety, so they felt a little bit more empowered. And first it was just like their toe, and then they'd run back. But next thing you know, they're just like knee deep, waist deep, like splashing around, and they were screaming like little girls, just like laughing and jumping around and playing, and they were fully clothed. Just the laughter and the joy and the excitement. That was probably one of the best things that happened.
If you've just joined us on Life and Faith, you're listening to us interview Brad Chilcott, who is the founder and director of Welcome to Australia, which is a movement that cultivates an atmosphere of welcome for asylum seekers once they're here in the country. Now, Brad, at the level of federal politics, dare we sort of enter into this territory, but it's probably fair to say that the tone of unwelcome hasn't changed much in recent years. But from your perspective, is that a fair reflection of what ordinary Australians are like in terms of their response to those seeking asylum?
We use this little catchphrase that belonging is a gift given by a community that's been set free from fear. And so statistics even show that 70% of Australians welcome refugees. But the same surveys and the same polls show 70% of Australians agree with our policies about stopping boats, and in fact a quarter of Australians think we should be even harsher to people that arrive by boat. And so you can see there a real contradiction. We like refugees and we hate the impression of irregular migration or uncontrolled borders. And the reality is that that has been created by the ugly rhetoric of political leaders over the last 10 or 15 years. We don't have a border control problem. In fact, the very fact that every boat that comes is greeted by an Australian vessel somewhere on the way shows that we're actually pretty good at controlling our borders. And so it's a completely fabricated fear, but it's a real fear in the community now.
Well, let me just press you on that a little bit. But so what is the answer to this? Do you have a sense of any sort of solution to the problem? Because isn't it the case that we don't have a problem because of this very, very strong stance that the government's taken? If you were offering suggestions as to what we could do, what would it be?
Well, at the moment, I think that the people that are already here in Australia, there's 30,000 people on bridging visas in our community, mostly without work rights and living on a very small income, no pathway to citizenship. There are people still in detention, onshore and offshore. Those people are now completely irrelevant to the deterrence that the government is doing. They're stopping the boats by intercepting them with other boats at sea. So any punishment that is being meted out to these people already here actually plays no role in not allowing boats to arrive in Australia. So I think the first step forward is for us to recognise that and to start treating these people already here with dignity and without harm. And the more longer-term solution is around establishing a regional resettlement framework, which is something we've heard talked about for a very long time. Nobody really knows what it means in a political sense, but that's where it needs to end up, that there are safe haven places in our region where asylum seekers who are fleeing in search of safety can go and have their claims processed and a resettlement plan in place.
So, Brad, the kinds of work that you do and that volunteers with Welcome to Australia do across the country, how does that relate to the larger policy debate? Are those kind of just separate tracks? Do you see them as being kind of two-way traffic?
Well, I think there are two approaches. Firstly, we have these cruel policies we have at the moment because our electorate is convinced that that's the only way we can address this situation. We've convinced our population that leadership can be measured in brutality and that fear of the other is something they do need to be concerned about. And so the long-term solution is to make prejudice unpopular and for cruelty to hurt at the polls not be rewarded. So we see a lot of our work as the slow, day-by-day grind, I guess, of winning more people over to that point of view, that the kind of leaders Australia needs will celebrate inclusion, they'll celebrate diversity, they'll welcome people and they will see compassion as strength instead of weakness. And so we need, if we want long-term change, to have millions of voters who will vote compassion instead of cruelty as a sign of leadership. So it's not irrelevant to the political policy, it's just a very long-term goal.
Real grassroots kind of stuff.
Yeah, person by person, community by community, achieving long-term change in the end.
And Brad, finally, what has being involved in this work been like for you? As in, has it affected you personally? Are you different from what you were 4 years ago in this sense?
I think I'm definitely different in that I've met so many people that I would have never met before, heard their stories and been impacted by their lives. And I think also along the line I've become a more pragmatic person. I'm tired of getting nothing for the people that I care about, and that's kind of where the left versus right slanging match has ended up. Instead of moving things forward, we keep getting the same outcomes or worse. Being the pragmatic person in the middle is not always the most comfortable place to be either.
What your work is definitely doing is giving those people who do feel some sort of obligation to, because of our great blessings in this country, to find a welcoming opportunity for others. Plenty of us don't really know what to do with that, so that your organisation is providing a great avenue for it. It's really great to get you in and hear about this work and catch up for a few years down the track about it. So thanks so much for coming, Brad. And if people would like to find out more about Welcome to Australia, they might want to donate or get involved, they can go to the website, which is at welcometoaustralia.org.au. We wish you great luck in all of this. Good on you, Brad. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Life and Faith from the Centre for Public Christianity. For more on this topic and many more, go to publicchristianity.org.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.